Please comment, like,
share, and subscribe.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Spicy, tasty vegan cuisine. Yeah.
School graduate from San Francisco, California, former teacher and educator for 30 years. Steps for Peace Award recipient, writer, producer, and farmer of music, providing positive, inspirational, and self-empowering messages. Health advocate, and he's also a founder of the Oakland Street Peace Festival. We have been in the Gambia for the past 4.5 years, and we are vegans in the Gambia that's bringing wonderful food to the world.
Thank you so much, Mama Naasira. Just like you heard her, listeners, they are vegan. It will be a very, very much different way of food pattern for a lot of people that is going back to much more of vegetarian, because a lot of people do not understand too much of vegan, but like they are vegetarians. Mr. Pui, can you just say hello? We are moved over to another stage.
Hello listeners, I'm very much happy to be here again. Voice of ECOWAS once more. Mbooloo mi li ma wax rek mooy ne man Mr Salim Pouy maa ngi nii fii bokk ci programme bi tey nag am nañ fii ñi nga xam ne daal jëkkër ak jabar lañ waaye ñoom ñi ngay yëngatu ci ñu vegan food. So su ñu waxee vegan food mooy plant based food mooy lekk yi nga xam ne ñu ngi ko daral ci li nga xam ne moo jóge ci garab yi waaw ñu gar ci garab yi. So loolu nag am na solo bu baax parce que fi mu nekk nii aduna bi soo ko wëree di nga gis ne lekk yi nga xam ne ñoo jógee ci garab ñoo gën ci lekk yi nga xam ne ñu ngi jógee ci rab yi. kon nag déglu leen ngeen taxaarlu loo leen bugg a laajte ngeen laajte ko ci kanam jërëjëf.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pui. If you want to connect to us and join in the program, the numbers to call is 7480480, 7480480, or 9688234. 9688234. Once again, this is the voice of ECOWAS, transferred from Thursdays 12 noon to Wednesdays 5 to 6 in the afternoon. Listeners, you're welcome again, and you can call us on 7480480, 7480480, or 9688234. Today we want to look into the area of relationship in terms of Mr. Doctor's book, your book you wrote, Mama.
Yes.
And we want to look into nutrition and the healthy part of relationship combined with nutrition, and how this blend can go together to build up a happy relationship, right?
Right.
Very good. And Doctor, I want to start with you. You know, now we reduce the time to 1 hour, so we have to make it very snappy.
Okay.
All right? Now, we have a lot of differences between the man and the woman. Is this true? And if it is true, why is that?
Well, before I jump into it really quickly, I'd like to let people know about my wonderful wife. You've already heard her voice. She's a native of San Francisco. She's a graduate from City College, San Francisco. She has a BA in Library Technology, and also a degree from College of San Francisco. A mother of 3 healthy sons, married over 40 years. She's a noted vegan chef, a health advocate, and an entrepreneur for over 40 years, cooking and catering experience. She's been on this plant-based lifestyle for over 40 years, and a vegan for 7. Now, she's also been married for over 40 years, so she has that experience that she brings to the table for talking about male-female relationships. And many people, including myself, consider her the best vegan chef in the world. Now, in terms of differences, yes, there are some differences between men and women. And what I like to point out is that when a female child is born, she has a more efficient immune system than a male baby. That accounts for the fact that male babies don't go to full term like female babies. More of them die, also in the first year. A girl at the age of 7, because of her rich hormones, she has the maturity of a man, a young man, in his puberty, say about 14. Also, if we look in terms of the lung capacity, a female has a greater lung capacity than a man. An example would be in the Andes Mountains. At certain altitudes, the men cannot carry the heavy loads. The women do that. Also, women have 25% more fat on their body to the man's 14, which means she's better insulated against the cold. A woman also is able to think a lot faster than men. Why? Because if you look in terms of size and ratio, a woman's brain is 1/4 heavier than a man's. 1/4. So that means that the nerve endings of the cerebral cortex to deal with the 4 areas of intuition, future planning, pain management, and language acquisition. And so those are some of the things that jump out. Yes, we men can lift up and carry something for a short period. But if those think that that's superiority, well, that's about where a man's superiority ends. And that's why we're here now to talk about, even though there are differences, making them known, but how we can mend, mold, and work together.
Okay, from the woman's side, I will ask the same question. Mama, is it true that there are differences between women and the woman and the man?
Yes, there's a difference. I think when we speak of woman generally likes security. You know, it can start from your father. If you're fortunate to have your father with you, that can also help you to work into even relationships. And of course, if you eat a certain way, your relationships can be better because there's more clarity. I believe in the difference is it depends on the country you're living in. Different countries have different cultures. I came up from a culture where my great-grandfather, in, for instance, relationship, when a man wanted to marry, I think, a woman in the family, he would generally goes to the father. And the father would generally want the man to take care of that woman until the time comes when, if he cannot do it, he can bring that woman back home. This is the way it was when we were growing up. But many differences is, and you were speaking of in the differences between man and woman, as my husband indicated, yes, there's differences. Women are generally more advanced. I raised sons, and I know that the sons were slower. But the main thing, what I did, I wanted sons so that they can be better men to the women. So it's in, and then in relationships, you know, you want to have self-love. Mm-hmm. You have to love yourself, and having a friendship in relationships.
Okay.
So there's many things. Communication is important.
Okay.
You know, coming together with having goals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, share responsibilities. You know, that's one of the things that's really good. Girls were brought up where they did all of the work, and the boy, if they could work, they worked outside of the home. But in my times, in my marriage at the beginning, the man and the woman worked together, because I believe that when you work together, that means you can teach the children as they grow up to start building better relationships.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mama. If you want to join in the program, the numbers to call is 7480480, 7480480, or 9688234, 9688234. Listeners, may I remind you again, this is Dr. Joe and Mama Naasira. They are carrying a very broad project in terms of nutrition and changing the mindset in relationships among intimacy and even within the family, wherein there can be much more coordination for a much more happier lifespan. And they have written books on this because they are vegetarians, and they are quite very much far and different from a lot of people that are in this part of the world. So I go straight to Doctor again, Mr. Pui. You will come in a short while. Doctor, Mama just mentioned that because of the difference labs in between the man and the woman, because according to you, the male are like slower in a lot of ways. So she decided to bring up the kids in wherein, that is the boys, wherein they will become much more better, that is actively, proactively, than the girls. Are you saying the women are much more active than the boys naturally? And then from there, you can also have the opportunity to change the formation of the activities of boys, if you want to, for them to also keep up with the pace of the girls. We are waiting to hear this.
Well, there is differences. I've given you some of the differences. There are many more. But in terms of the boys or men waiting to catch up, it doesn't happen. It takes the average man about 50 years before they begin to mature.
What?
I'll say it again. It takes the average man about 50 years
Wow.
before they begin to mature. Now, before we came to Africa, we understood that it was an African saying that you start at 40. That's when you begin.
Yeah.
Well, 50 years, give or take. And this is the average man. So for those of you sitting at the edge of your seat, I'm talking about the average man. And usually by the time they're 50, they've created problems for themselves socially and physically. Physically, because they generally aren't eating the right kind of food. Socially, because they haven't matured. They've created challenges in their life. Usually, because they have not listened to someone, usually a woman, to do or not to do a certain thing. Now, when I talk about slow, I'm just talking basically, it's an attitude that I characterize as just being unaware, unconscious, and disconnected from the appreciation of the perspectives of others. In other words, you're kind of self-centered, and some men are so slow they don't even know they're slow. And some men, God bless them, are so arrogant that they believe that a woman cannot tell them anything. And this has been reinforced by their culture, by their peer group, by their, it could be tribes, it could be, this information has just been passed on. Now, before we got to this point, and we had a matriarchal society. In other words, women were basically running things and controlling things in terms of protecting and providing and sheltering and working with. We didn't have the challenges we have. But out of the West, you had the patriarchal society, where the men were the ones that were in so-called control. And this has created a conflict. It's created a challenge because our information as Africans, people of diaspora, this information was cut off from us when we were colonized and when the invaders came in. It was not in their best interest to let us have this information. And after generation, this information has been kind of encoded in us, became part of our culture, put in some of our religions, and then now we are at a state and point where we have to stop and question. And that is, if something no longer serves our highest good or our purpose, building our families, building our community, and our nations, perhaps we should step back and only work with those things that work best and let go of those things that no longer serve our best interests.
You know, Doctor, I'm sorry, Mr. Pui, you're going to have something there very soon. But the issue, what I want to ask Doctor here, you are precisely in a nation, fortunately, in a nation wherein the look at the women that these are supposed to be the muted angle. They should be by the back, and it's changing now gradually, all right? But like, you know, this is basically the basic understanding that the women, all right, must serve, you know, be there just for their husband, the kids, the home, and all that. And that's where it stopped. And most men do not believe that they can seek opinions from their women. Yes.
Yes. Well.
So I don't know, how are you going to really convert this into our understanding, because there's two different gaps here.
If I may come here just to give them the light of what is prevailing here.
Exactly.
Doctor have said it all. Africa, we have been with our own culture and tradition and moving fine before the coming of the invaders. When they came, this is why Africa we have a problem, right? The tradition is there, the religion is there. The Quranic religion, the Christian religion, right? When they came, they mixed up almost everything. Now, if you look at the Quran, even when you are praying, right, the men must be in front. The women must be at the back.
Exactly.
But in the history of the development of the religion, the women have been at the forefront.
What?
Right.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Yes.
Have been in the forefront. Do you know why? Because even the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Muhammad, the wife Khadija, had also a wealthy lady who was the one who sponsored the jihad that they were doing. So now what the role of women is number one there. But fanaticism in our society and arrogancy also dictates whereby women are being neglected. But this is not
So
our
true.
culture. This is just what I wanted to buttress.
That's perfect, Mr. Pui.
And a woman cannot rise, a country cannot rise unless that woman is in a positive, in a strong position to rule a household, because she's the one who primarily raises the children.
Exactly.
And so therefore, why should the man have all that type of power when he didn't bring the child in the world? So his difference is quite, you know, skewed on some level. So there's a lot of changes that needs to occur, and it will in time.
Yes, I agree with my wife. By having programs such as this and getting the information out, then we will be able to change. It doesn't happen overnight.
No, of course.
It didn't happen overnight that
No.
the colonizers and the invaders put us in this state to where we are not only confused as to what our roles really should be, but also very arrogant and deliberate in putting down our counterparts.
Mr. Pui, you know, you also said it all. You getting me? Taking us back to like how it was supposed to be, because like from the Christianity side, we can understand, but like from the Muslim side, we actually, it is difficult, because like you see it, like this is a trend that has been, there's a system generated, and like now it has been so immune, it is very hard to change. Let me say this, Doctor, I deliberately decided to take it step by step, because what you're saying now, it has to actually sink down for people to understand. If we say we are just going to like just say blah 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 quick fast and we pass it on, and the understanding is not going to be there. That's why I said put these things into series, okay? So that each topic can be elaborated on very much to the understanding, because you are in a platform, in a society, or you're talking most of West Africa, and in fact the region here, is what the mentality is. Not, you're not even talking of just Gambia here, you're talking Senegal, Mali, all these places, Guinea, Conakry. It is the same thing.
Yes.
And as long as it is coming from like the Muslim side, the Christians can manage a little bit, but they still have that on their head. Also that the man is the one that should have the final say. All right. Yes. So, Mr. Pui, in terms of the, Mama, please, sorry. You know, I want to ask Mr. Pui. You know, what Mama they are trying to like, you know, sinking into people is a very strange thing because, like you were just saying, fanatics and arrogancy and this, many men will not accept. So, how do you think this kind of information can be able to be passed on to the men to like accept that this is true and that kind of thing? Because I'm coming very soon to the nutrition. I want us to touch on nutrition also to see the balance that is going to be there.
Well, I think first we should do as we're doing now,
Exactly.
to present the information. Going to live as long, and the quality of their life is not going to be as good as it could if they embrace their counterpart. And when I say that, accept them with all of their gifts, with all of their strengths, and get a balance in terms of what you have. Men bring something to the table too. We can be the protector. We can be the person who encourages them.
Yes.
We can be the person who supports them. And we also can be the person that jumps in and assists them, whether it's carrying the water, whether it's doing the cooking, whether any responsibility, let it be shared.
Let it be shared.
100%.
Mr. Pui,
Yeah, no,
let it be shared.
Yeah, let it be shared.
You know
because-
that? No, wait. You heard what Doctor just said now?
Very well. Very well.
That okay. Does this go for one wife or all the multiple wives? I'm sorry. They're just trying to like put things together here.
No, that is a different dimension, because in most cases, this is why men who normally have different wives, this is why sometimes they have problem. In most cases, they choose one on top of the other, favored one on top of the other. But in different cases, there are men that normally come together with them, because he has already said it well. This is why when we are brought up children, we will like the children, both the girl and the boy, to learn all the domestic work at home. It happens. In fact, sometimes if you tell the boy to come and sweep after eating, they will start saying, no, it's the work of the girl.
Because of the father.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when they say that for cooking, they will say it's the work of the girl.
Yes.
Right? But there are some families, right?
Yes.
Who, if it including myself, both the boy and the girl does the domestic job.
That's right.
So that tomorrow, if you are not at your home,
That's right.
then you'll be able to do these activities. And at the same time, when you are sharing these activities, then it will learn. You have to learn how to share responsibilities, especially social duties. Right? If the man can, if the man can bring food to the table, right? Then the woman goes to the kitchen.
Yes.
Then the youngsters clean the bowls, sweep the house, and then do other domestic activities. At the same time, what that is showing is sharing of responsibilities. But there are some certain areas they are adamant that boys' jobs are distinct and girls' jobs are distinct. There is where the confusion lies.
This is where my point is, because if doctor is talking about coordination here, working as a team, coming together, sharing responsibility, and there is not that understanding and differences of job allocation is not practically spelled out, like that, then there's a problem. It means there's conflict in the home. So because you are talking of culture here, you are talking of religion here, doctor, and this is an immunity already in most of the African setting countries, wherein the men will never, because they are brought up from kids, they are made to understand that they should be on top. That they should not even assist the wife. Some men will sit down there, if the baby is crying, we say, go and look after the baby. After that, the woman will be cooking, and we say, come and look after the baby. You will never touch the baby. Or rather, but the woman will be in the kitchen, and we say, the baby is crying, go there and look at the baby and everything. All the responsibilities are on them. I am just trying to know, because we are on series on these things. How is this going to be possible to break this edge?
Well, I think it's been a lot of, this is old culture. I think a long time ago that there were lots of wars, and Therefore, a lot of the men were killed. That's why one man can marry 2 or 3 wives, just to make sure that the children were all together and the women would just remain with that one man. And that was good because that was necessary. But now times have changed. Wars are going to soon diminish. So therefore, we have an opportunity to probably, they tell us that it's more women than men, but I'm understanding that's not true. They're pretty much can be equal. It's just that you first have to learn how to deal with one before you can deal with 3. And if you have 2 or 3 wives, we need to come together and to be able to communicate and then work together if that's what can be done. Because I know I practice Islam in America, and I had several lady friends that were second wives. And because they were educated, because education does make a difference, they knew how to work it. One woman had a house in one area, and the husband spent 2 weeks there, and then the other wife, the husband would come on the other side and spend 2 weeks there. That's, to me, that was a more sophisticated way of doing it. Whereas some of us are still living the old way. And so it's going to take time for it to work out the way it's more balanced.
And historically, we have to step back and look at things. Prior to us being given things like religion, I don't think we had the challenges like that. And the people who gave us, the nations who gave us these religions, they don't have them. They're atheists. And economically, they're on top.
Yes.
It's almost like I give you religion, you close your eyes, say a prayer, and we take your land and your resources.
Exactly.
So the things that used to serve us, those we hold on to. Whether it's in a religion, whether it's in an organization, whatever. There are things just like when we are come from the womb. And we are taught from the time we're born until we're about 7. And we take in all of this information for our survival, whether it's from the schools, from the television, from our family, from our community. All of this we take inside of us. And this becomes part of who and what we are. And when we are presented with something, we react instead of responding.
Yes.
So what we've got to do is to learn to make a different model of ourselves. It's not to push aside what we have been taught, because some of those things were very important at the time for our survival. But when they no longer serve you, then that is when you release or replace them with something that does.
So how is this combined with the nutritional part?
Okay, so the next level.
Yes. Before I say that, let me read the numbers again. The numbers to call is 7480480. 7480480. This is SENN FM 90.5, and this is the voice of ECOWAS. Listeners, it's a reminder again, this is the test phase of this program because the time has been changed from 12 noon Thursdays to Wednesdays 5 to 6 in the evening. And today is our first broadcast for 5 to 6 on Wednesday. And it should, in case of you are just tuning in and surprised, this is the voice of ECOWAS now being broadcast every Wednesdays. Mr. Pui, say something from the side of this part of the world.
Okay.
Briefly.
This time I'm going to say it in the Mandinka language. Badingolo bi kita programme mi yalo ko akuma yata bagele katuko molbe min fo kante ngole mu kewoni muso be nyame kata foloto num kana say nunto muneka ki anin say muneka ki kabrin tubabol nata anin dinol fanan nata dogol ka ke nyaadi suwol kono ka ke nyaadi le andum kenni muso fanan nyanta mako ro ke la nyamin pour ka banko samba nyato pour que la famille fanan samba nyato so bidum ngamo kendol le soda jam mialon ko kewani musolem mama Naasira aning Dr. Joe kenni musolem ye bug sabale safe mialon ko woka be mako la domoro la karola anding mol fanan betaka nyamin kenni muso la makoro be kala nyaming usaje isi ko samano nyato so nyenne mo koti mi alon kon ko wala kacabi andum a bete yatale pour molsa be tembendi so nyenne mo koti mi alon ko laftale pour ka fo sain na keni musola ko fole sain domoro la karola e kamin fo to babol kamin fo nutrition balola jata kendea so mbena wole dum kam abaraka.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pui, for that lovely translation. Mama, I want to start from you because the women are the hosts in the homes. And we want to look at nutrition here. Okay,
Yes.
we have a call coming in. Hello? Hello, caller? Wow. Okay.
How do you receive it?
Yeah, it's like you know, it's in between. Caller, you can call again to the program. You're welcome. This is SENN FM 90.5, and this is the voice of ECOWAS being changed from its original time of 12 noon on Thursdays to Wednesdays 5 to 6. And we are hosting Dr. Joe and Mama Naasira, who are vegetarians and also have a different perceptions in terms of relationship and nutrition, in how that they can help the ordinary human, the average human, to be healthy and have a very much happier lifespan in terms of a prolonged lifespan in our society. Doctor, okay, let me announce the numbers again. The numbers to call is 7480480. 7480480 is the number to call. All right. Now I was asking, okay, Mr. Pui, you said that in the Madinka.
Yeah.
All right, but like we did not actually understand, because like why I am asking you.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to ask Doctor that question again, because he is a man representing the men here, and Mama is representing the women, but there are various men having differences in terms of behavior, understanding, you know, how they act, you know, react to all, you know, issues and all those kind of thing. So like what he is understanding is a very much like a strange kind of information that is coming out, because fortunately and unfortunately, he is finding himself in a society or a regional society community wherein a lot of the issues about women are placed in the back, not in the front. All right? So, like, breaking this gap is very, very serious. Now, I'll just give you 1 minute in that, Mr.
Okay,
Pui,
okay.
Doctor, before you will come and throw a light on that.
Okay.
Because from, you know, here is another pattern of life.
Yes.
This is Africa, another pattern of life. People are much more into like the religion, traditional laws and rules. It's like it's what governs their lives moving. And they are very much like you must obey, this is my big brother, or this is the husband, all of us. But some even believe that only the father should say anything in the house. And when he says something, nobody else should speak. When he has given his order, it's finished. And now you are talking about like the man need to discuss with his wife in seeking opinion. There are men who does that.
I like
You're-
to
you're
think
good.
that men in America, but it was like that in America as well.
Very good, very good.
It wasn't just the
Anna
same
Marie,
here.
you have said it all.
Yes.
What prevails in Freetown is the same that prevails here
Exactly.
in Guinea and
Everywhere.
all the other countries.
Yes.
Like
But
Ghana,
but
all-
now what we're talking about, what must be or what should be, is exactly what these gentle people are talking about. What should be in order to build a better
A
society.
better society.
But what prevails is a different thing,
Wow.
right? What prevails, to be quite honest, is the abuse and underrating of women that happens in here.
Exactly.
So this is why Mama has said it here. In any society where women are degraded, that society will not move ahead. In fact, if you should see the underdevelopment of Africa,
Yes.
the underdevelopment of the people of West Africa here, is because the women are neglected, the women are degraded,
That's true.
right? So this is why, whether we like it or not, what prevails is what
Hello? Yeah, Malaikum salam.
Sirajo Bila, Sirajo Bila.
Hello?
It's okay. So you see, this is why we have to inculcate those good values in order to build a better society. This is exactly what these gentle people are talking about. But what prevails is a different thing. Right? The bad culture, right? The bad temperament that men have must change. Otherwise, we will not get exactly what we want in this continent of Africa.
Hello, caller? Yes. Hello? No, Def?
Wow, Sirajo Bila de borom mobile bi Sirajo Bila.
Hello?
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 Anna Marie.
No.
I think he's talking of the owner of the mobile, which is a different
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
Right now, what prevails is a different thing. So I think with this sensitization that we are doing, in fact, this is why I'm suggesting that after this program, all the things that are said here, we can publicize it through the media, right? By coming up with writing, putting it in the newspapers, then it's going to be in the media, right? So that at least many people also will benefit, right? This is exactly what we want in Africa. Sharing and then having better relationship between the man and the woman. This is exactly what will build our society tomorrow, Doctor.
Okay, in terms of nutrition, we can generally say when you eat better, you're going to think better. I'll say it again. When you eat better, you will think better. Now, I was talking to an herbalist, Sally Ukui, earlier, and he was talking to me about a challenge that is very common here with the men, impotency. So if we look at diet, as we call it, I like calling it change of lifestyle. I don't like the word diet, but we'll say lifestyle change. Many have diabetes. If you have diabetes, that means that there is damage in the blood supply that's going to your male member. And if you don't have the blood supply going there, then you cannot perform. In terms of high blood pressure, it's the same. It slows the supply of the blood. And with women that have hypertension, they're more than likely to have pain having this intercourse than a woman that is not suffering from hypertension. That's because her body does not lubricate normally, and more pain generally results. Naasira has a story. Let me finish with the gum. If you are chewing gum, it's sending a signal to your stomach, food is coming, food is coming, food is coming. So you have a buildup of the acid ready to break down the food. And if no food comes, then it's eating on the lining of your stomach. Now, if you are having ulcers, that affects the way you relate romantically, affects the way you communicate with others, because if you're in pain, let's face it, you are not the best partner. And in terms of prostate, which is a very big problem here, if you don't know that you should hydrate, in other words, drink water regularly and often, and avoid the things that are going to dry up your the gland, like staying away from alcohol, staying away from vinegar, staying away from white sugar. There's a laundry list of things that you should stay away from, but they're basically what we call acidic food. In other words, food that's not wholesome, junk food. So, Mama, could you?
Yeah, I wanted to also indicate on the in regards to the nutrition and in relationship. I have always had to prepare food since I was 18, 19 years old. And I find that I had a really good relationship with guys as well as women because I prepare food. And in a relationship, it's really important that the two of you get in there together in the kitchen and prepare the food. And that can help the two of you to be healthy. Many times when the woman is always in the kitchen preparing food and the man is not involved, that's when he becomes more unhealthy because the woman finally gets tired. And then also when you not eating properly with diabetes. Another thing, because in my family I had an uncle who was diabetic, and he was angry all the time, and it can be violent because when your body's not balanced, you know, it somewhat triggers, you know, lack of understanding. So yes, nutrition is very, very important.
Now, what Mama is talking about is that we are different from Europeans. Our body chemistry is completely different. Our pineal gland regulates different parts of our bodies, like our natural rhythms in terms of when our teeth are going to come in, when puberty starts. It also regulates the growth of the bones. So as a result, since we as melanated or people of color are denser than the Europeans, and since that is such, you'll find that our different levels that we have in terms of our blood cells itself, especially the melanated cells, we have more sulfur for the Europeans, where we have more selenium. That is why when Europeans get wet, they give off that kind of egg smell. Also, not only do we have the bones that are stronger, we also have a possibility for most people to be able to bring in more energy. For instance, most people don't know that our hair is an extension, like an antenna, of our brain. And when we cut off our hair or we put things on it, like perms and others, we're killing the proteins. We are simply reducing our ability to be the best we can be. Now, in terms of nutrition and hydration, if you don't drink enough water, if you take the coffee, the chocolate, the soda, the caffeinated teas with caffeine, the bleach or white rice, the sugar and the salt, more times than not, you are going to end up constipated. And many people, they do not hear the call when their brain tells them to go. It might be inconvenient. You know, you may not be in the right spot or whatever, but your brain will cut off the signals if you don't go. And then your brain will wait until things become so compacted that it will yell out at you. But by then, things are packed together, constipation, and it's very common for people to go 2 to 3 days without being able to have a bowel movement. And what happens? Well, if it is not moving, then it's got to go someplace. And there's a very thin line, thin membrane of tissue between the rectum and the prostate gland, the rectum and the uterus. So what happens? It migrates or moves, and you have infection. If you are not aware of things to do, like taking a warm bath, which will allow to stimulate the blood vessels, which will bring those particles of feces back into the bloodstream so it can be redistributed into the liver and into the kidneys and then into the colon, you have the problem. Once again, it's just lack of information. Now,
Okay, Mama, sorry, listeners, if you have been listening, this has been the voice of ECOWAS on SENN FM 90.5, and hosting Dr. Joe and Mama Naasira, who are vegetarians, and also having a very, very different perception in terms of the way this part of the world looks at relationship and nutrition, and they coming from the US also looks at it. Be rest assured that this is a series. We're just introducing the topic because we've come to the end of the program, because we reminded that the program has been changed from its usual time of 12 noon to 1:30 p.m. On Thursdays to only Wednesdays for 5 to 6. And so at this juncture, Doctor, I would like you to just give you one minute, or is it 30 seconds, just for you to say something to Wanda, because you're coming back. There's a series already, and then Mama will just also add something there, and Mr. Pui, and then we close the program for today. Remember, we are just we are testing. This is the first broadcast since the program has been changed. Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, I'd like to give thanks for this opportunity to give this information, and also for Mr. Sali Lukui as well as yourself for making this possible. And like with anything new to some people, it's going to take a moment for it to sink in. But we would like to go over and over in terms of repetition, just like we were taught before. That's how we change things. So I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you. Mama, just say bye to listeners.
Yeah,
Mr.
thank you
Queen.
so much for everything, and we'd like for us in Africa to start bringing the unity together, husband and wives, partnership, so that we can make better children.
Yeah, Mr. Queen.
ok jërëjëf programme bi lu neex du doy fii lañ ko nderkappee rek pour wan leen ne rek programme bi dinañ ko mën a continuer pour wan leen daal jigéen ak góor seen àndandoor ak wér-gu-yaram jërëjëf ba beneen yoon.
Thank you very much for joining us, listeners. This is the new time for the Voice of ECOWAS, 5 to 6 every Wednesdays. In the afternoon, you tune in to SENN FM 90.5, and I have been Hannah Marie Conte saying goodbye, bringing down the curtains for today's broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned for the rest of the programs.
Please comment, like,
share, and subscribe.
follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Spicy, tasty vegan cuisine. Yeah.